So at this point, Charles is the primary suspect.
We shut our lights off, shut the engines off, we creep up to the house, everything's nice and quiet, not to alert any type of suspicion.
You recognize that?
It came at a time when there had been 2 unsolved murders of young women in the area.
Charles,
I didn't do it. I need to see my wife.
The tragic slaying. Picture this. It's a dark Halloween night in 1984, the air thick with anticipation and a sense of eerie foreboding. Charles Erbert, a typical family man, returns home from a quick trip to the store, expecting nothing more than to reunite with his loving wife and eagerly anticipated unborn baby. But what he finds inside his California home is beyond the realm of nightmares. As Charles steps through the door, the hairs on the back of his neck stand on end. The scene before him is a ghastly tableau, straight out of the most twisted horror movie imaginable. His wife, Doreen, lies sprawled on the floor, her body mangled and lifeless, a grotesque sight that chills him to the bone. Beside her, the tiny form of their unborn baby, torn from Doreen's womb, adds to the macabre scene. The brutality of the slaying defies comprehension, surpassing even the most graphic scenes Hollywood could conjure. Blood coats every surface, a sickening reminder of the violence that unfolded within those walls. It's a scene of unimaginable horror, one that sears itself into Charles's mind forever.
All she sees is the wolf mask, white gloves, big knife, attacking mommy.
Some type of object was raising up in the air and slashing down and...
But the horror doesn't end there. As police officers arrive on the scene, even the most seasoned among them are left shaken to their core. The sheer brutality of Doreen's slaying, the senselessness of it all, leaves a lingering trauma that will haunt them long after the investigation concludes. It's a reminder that evil lurks in the darkest corners of the world, ready to shatter lives in the blink of an eye. And for Charles Erbert, that fateful Halloween night will forever be etched in his memory as the night his worst nightmares became a horrifying reality. Life and family history. Let me tell you about Doreen Erbert. She was like a ray of sunshine on a cloudy day, always wearing a smile and radiating positivity wherever she went. A dedicated physiotherapist in the San Francisco Bay Area, Doreen was known for her kindness and compassion towards her patients, helping them heal both physically and emotionally. But behind that warm smile lay a history of heartbreak and tragedy.
And I believe I tried to stop the bleeding. There was a lot of blood.
There wasn't any stab wounds. These were all slashes and hacks. Numerous on her torso, numerous on her head.
In 1980, Doreen suffered every parent's worst nightmare when her young son Paul tragically drowned in their backyard pool. The loss of her precious baby left a gaping hole in Doreen's heart, a wound that would never fully heal. Despite the pain of her past, Doreen found love again with Charles Erbert, a carpet store owner with a heart of gold. Together, they embarked on a journey to rebuild their family, hoping to find solace and happiness after years of sorrow. Their joy knew no bounds when they learned they were expecting a new baby, a symbol of hope and renewal after several heartbreaking miscarriages. Night of the Slaying. Picture a typical Halloween night in 1984, with youngsters dressed in costumes and the air buzzing with excitement. Doreen and Diana Erbert return home from trick-or-treating, their hearts light with the joy of the evening's festivities. Little do they know, a nightmare awaits them behind the safety of their front door. As they step inside their San Jose home, the atmosphere suddenly shifts from festive to chillingly ominous. Standing before them is a figure clad in darkness, a wolf mask obscuring their features, and a long blade glinting menacingly in the dim light. It's a scene straight out of a horror movie, but there's no escaping the terror that's about to unfold. With a chilling threat hanging in the air, Doreen's maternal instincts kick into overdrive as she urges her daughter to seek refuge behind the couch. But even her efforts to protect her baby are in vain, as the assailant launches into a vicious attack, wielding the blade with ruthless precision.
Charles,
I didn't do it. I need to see my wife.
He's not under arrest. He is being detained. We're allowed to do that based on the probable cause we have.
The sounds of struggle fill the air, mingling with the sickening thud of metal meeting flesh. Blood spills like a crimson tide, staining the once pristine floors and walls with evidence of unspeakable violence. It's a scene of unimaginable horror, one that sears itself into the minds of those who bear witness to its brutality. Despite her valiant efforts, Doreen is unable to fend off her attacker, her body succumbing to the relentless onslaught. The assailants' fury knows no bounds, as they unleash their fury upon their helpless victim, leaving behind a trail of devastation and despair in their wake. By the time the nightmare comes to an end, Doreen lies lifeless on the floor, her unborn baby torn from her womb in a final act of cruelty. It's a night that will forever be etched in the memories of those who survive it, a reminder of the darkness that lurks beneath the surface of even the most innocent of occasions. Investigation and evidence. When the gruesome slaying of Doreen Erbert rocked the quiet neighborhood of San Jose, suspicion initially fell upon her husband, Charles. Covered in his wife's blood and overwhelmed with grief, Charles was the prime suspect in the eyes of law enforcement. However, upon further investigation and the discovery of a wolf mask left at the scene, attention swiftly shifted to another potential culprit, Doreen's ex-husband, William Michael Dennis. Known to harbor deep resentment towards Doreen and her new family following their bitter divorce, Dennis quickly became the focus of the police investigation. His troubled past, including a wrongful demise lawsuit against the Erberts and a history of violent fantasies, painted him as a plausible suspect in the heinous crime.
It came at a time when there had been 2 unsolved murders of young women in the area.
Injuries to prevent the bloodletting, or there was a vehicle close by where he actually got in the car and drove.
As detectives delved deeper into the case, they uncovered a wealth of damning evidence pointing towards Dennis's guilt. Bloodstains found at the scene matched his blood type, and a trail of gore led directly from the Erberts' home to Dennis's doorstep. Witnesses came forward, recalling Dennis's attendance at a Halloween party the year prior, where he had donned a wolf mask eerily similar to the one left behind at the slaying scene. The gathering of physical evidence provided irrefutable proof of Dennis's involvement in the brutal slaying of his ex-wife and her unborn baby. From bloodstains to witness testimonies, every piece of the puzzle pointed towards his guilt. With the weight of the evidence stacked against him, Dennis's arrest seemed inevitable as law enforcement closed in on their prime suspect, determined to bring justice to the victims and closure to their grieving loved ones. Trial and conviction. The legal saga surrounding the heinous slaying of Doreen Erbert culminated in a tense courtroom battle that gripped the nation. Michael Dennis, the prime suspect in the brutal slaying, found himself facing the full force of the law as prosecutors laid out their case against him. Defense attorneys argued that Dennis's actions were not premeditated, but instead the result of a descent into madness fueled by the grief of losing his son and the bitterness of his failed marriage. They painted a picture of a broken man driven to the brink by overwhelming despair, pleading for leniency on the grounds of insanity. However, the prosecution countered with a compelling case built upon a mountain of evidence linking Dennis to the crime. Bloodstains, witness testimonies, and the chilling trail of gore leading from the slaying scene to Dennis's doorstep painted a damning portrait of guilt.
Opens the door, and it's not him.
Is there Michael Dennis here, sir?
No. They're a completely different family.
You recognize that?
Dennis's own words, spoken in moments of lucidity, served as damning admissions of his involvement in the grisly act. After careful deliberation, the jury returned with a verdict of guilty on charges of first-degree slaying for the demise of Doreen Erbert and the second-degree slaying for the demise of baby boy Erbert. The courtroom erupted in a mix of relief and anguish as justice was served for the victims and their grieving loved ones. In a final twist of fate, Dennis was sentenced to demise, a fitting punishment for the heinous crimes he had committed. However, as the state of California later overturned the demise penalty, Dennis's sentence was ultimately converted to life in prison. Though he may have evaded the ultimate punishment, Dennis will spend the rest of his days behind bars, serving out a sentence befitting the gravity of his actions. Aftermath and survivors. In the wake of the devastating tragedy that befell their family, Charles Erbert and Deanna Scott, were left grappling with the profound emotional aftermath. Their lives forever altered by the senseless violence that claimed the lives of Doreen Erbert and her unborn baby. They faced a long and arduous journey towards healing and recovery. For Charles, the loss of his beloved wife and unborn baby was a devastating blow, leaving him reeling with grief and anguish. Yet despite the overwhelming pain, he found solace in the unwavering support of his community and the knowledge that he was not alone in his suffering. Together with Deanna, he embarked on a journey of healing, drawing strength from each other as they navigated the turbulent waters of grief and loss.
We got a call from the district attorney's office that there is insufficient evidence to hold this.
We shut our lights off, shut the engines off, we creep up to the house, everything's nice and quiet, not to alert any type of suspicion.
We were. I said, well, what was he wearing? Well, he was just wearing street clothes and this full wolf mask.
As news of the tragedy spread throughout the community, discussions regarding justice and the demise penalty ignited passionate debates among residents. While some advocated for swift and severe punishment for the perpetrator, others grappled with the complexities of forgiveness and the possibility of redemption. The case sparked soul-searching conversations about the nature of justice and the role of society in holding individuals accountable for their actions.
And even blamed my dad there for a while, thinking, why wasn't he there to help out? Why was he there for my mom?
So at this point, Charles is the primary suspect.
Amidst the pain and sorrow, Charles and Deanna found moments of grace and resilience, their spirits buoyed by the outpouring of love and support from friends, family, and strangers alike. Though the road ahead was fraught with challenges, they refused to be defined by their tragedy, choosing instead to honor the memory of their loved ones through acts of kindness and compassion. That's all for this video, folks. See you next time.